I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go.
Hi.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to me. Good morning to you.
Mm-hmm.
And good morning to Mahalia.
Yes. Mahalia says, great morning indeed.
Yes. If I didn't know that Mahalia was so versatile, I would think that either she was AI or or a wig right now. I mean, tell the people what's going on with Mahalia today.
Yeah. So Mahalia is in full Afro mode. This is straight up 1970s Angela Davis. I realize I almost never wear my hair like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I am actually staying at a friend's house right now, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. But I left all my hair products at home, by accident. I didn't bring anything with me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But, no matter what style I have my hair in, whether it's straight or twist out or whatever, my hair will revert back to this. This is what Mahalia looks like growing out of my head.
Okay.
And so, I've been trying to kind of keep her back in a puff because, that's kind of my usual go-to when I don't want to do my hair. But as the curls get tighter, it's harder to pull her back. And she just, we start fighting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and I was getting upset because I was just I hate my hair's like this. And it was just this moment for me. It was just you keep getting upset when Mahalia is just trying to do what she naturally does.
Trying to do her thing.
Exactly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And yesterday I was just you know what? This is what we're going to do this week.
Yeah, girl, do your thing.
This is it.
That's what you told her. Yeah. And there are people who would pay lots of money to get their hair to do exactly what she's doing right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's a big afro. It's round. And my mom when I was growing up had a perfectly round afro.
Really?
But back in the day they used to have hot picks.
Yes.
That you could make your afro even bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's given the Silvers, Jackson 5, Angela Davis, all rolled into one. If you're too young to know who the Silvers, or I hope you know who the Jackson 5 are, then you know what? Just Google that thing.
Thank
But
you.
the Silvers were a singing family. Are you familiar with the Silvers?
No,
It's
Kimberly,
okay.
I'm
not going to judge you. I'm not judging because this is a real throwback. The Silvers were really hot when I was probably in elementary school. I remember we would be outside double dutching and somebody would run out their front door and go, "The Silvers are on Soul Train!" And everybody would pew, run back in the house to go see the Silvers. I think it was something like 6 or 7 siblings. And they all had these ginormous afros.
Mm.
This is before the DeBarges, a little after Jackson 5, but they had some hits. The young one, his name was Foster Silvers, and he was the one we all liked. We thought Foster was cute. So everybody would name who their boyfriend was. I'd be Foster is my boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea where Foster Silvers is these days. Hopefully he's not somewhere, doing something crazy, but just thought I would share that. So you're welcome for me telling you all about the Silvers.
Thank you. I feel so much more enlightened now, lately, even though I've transitioned to natural and I love, Mahalia and all that she can do, I do still have to work within myself to still feel beautiful and proud, when she's in her, the natural state.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I'm going to work on.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've had conversations about when beauty sort of lines up with what is sort of the social norm, which is code for, Eurocentric.
Mm-hmm.
it is a really interesting thing to fall into that category and feel the air quotes pretty that
Mhm.
might come with it. But there is something very interesting about when you kind of buck that and do you. And listen, this is no shade to anybody who wears their hair long and straight or however they wear their hair. It's a very personal decision. But I will say that in my experiences with my hair being very, very short from very, very long or flowing and straight, it does take a minute to get used to people not turning their head and looking at me the same way. But
Yes.
then there's like a pride that comes with when people do notice you, they really notice you.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I love it, and I always love that quote from Coco Chanel, a woman who cuts her hair short is about to change her life or something like that. I forgot how it goes. Um, and I'm like, that to me just is like means like if you're doing whatever you want to do with your hair and you're doing something that is not what everybody expects you to do,
Mm.
you probably about to get into some stuff that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That
Jules,
tracks.
baby Jules with
Hmm.
her gray pixie,
Hmm. Hmm.
she doing her thing.
Yes, she is.
We put a scarf on her, we go to sleep, we wake up, we work out, we do the thing and keep it moving.
There's beauty in simplicity.
There is. There's beauty in just liking yourself.
Yes, that
Yeah.
part.
I mean, it takes a long time to get to the point where you realize that you are your own ideal because we're always looking for affirmation. When you partnered, sometimes what the partner likes is, starts to, blend into what you think is beautiful and what isn't. But
Hmm.
the sexiest thing anybody can be is okay with themselves.
Yes.
So did you read anything this week?
This week, I've had the privilege of staying in the beautiful home of one of my friends and also a podcast listener. Shout
Oh,
out to Kat Meltzer, who I
okay.
met only a few months ago in a mutual writing group, and who I
Her.
consider one of the most resilient, talented, awesome human beings, and who, just out of the kindness of her heart, really wanted to support me in my sabbatical,
Hmm.
and has a beautiful home south of San Francisco,
Okay.
close to the beach.
Nice.
And so I've been here doing a lot of reading, but mostly also writing and reflection.
Hmm.
And one of the books that actually Kat gifted to me was a book called Wabi Sabi for Writers
Okay.
by Richard Powell.
Okay.
And so, it really is a book about finding inspiration and beauty and simplicity in your writing.
Hmm.
And, for folks who write or just create, and I think especially for those of us who are used to being in the mode of achieving, can feel like a lot of pressure to only create something that is going to land well in the eyes of others and in with some sort of, again, affirmation, publication, achievement. And I've been having a hard time breaking out of that mindset as I've
Mm.
stepped out of, again, my doctor role and leaning into more of my creative identity. That book has been really, really a blessing so far.
Wabi
And I would,
sabi.
Wabi
Okay.
Sabi,
I
I've been
love that.
enjoying it.
I like that. I'm gonna have to check that out
Mhm.
because I need some wabi sabi in my life.
Yes, yes, not just for writing, it's for life, girl.
I
It's
know.
good.
I don't know if I mentioned this book before because it had been a lot of books since the last time we had talked before. Did you read The Correspondent?
No,
Have you heard about it?
no.
Okay. It's a bestseller. It's on all the lists. One thing I realize you're really good about, you're like on the ready with the name of the author, and I am never on the ready with the name of the author. But let me see. Oh, it's by Virginia Evans.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason I'm going to mention this book is one, it's a short read, but two, every now and then you read something and you're like, well, that was so smart way to approach this. They're just like every time I read something and someone has done something with a book that makes me realize that AI couldn't have done that.
Mm.
Like a human being needed to think this up. This is really brilliant. That book is all in the form of letters. So it's like every chapter of the book and how it unfolds is somebody writing a letter, somebody writing them back, somebody writing them back, somebody writing somebody else, somebody writing somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the end of that book and I was weeping. It was really, really well done. I listened to it over Audible. The narration was outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then another really interesting book that I finished recently was The Elements by John Boyne. He's the person who wrote The Heart's Invisible Furies, which is one of my favorite books of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend that book too, but The Elements also made me feel that way. It was some dark aspects of that book, for sure, but it still doesn't just walk through something chronologically. It's like you're jumping forward, you're jumping backwards, you're jumping over, you're jumping. So the story like is coming together, but it's almost like somebody has a bulletin board up and they're putting pieces of the story up in parts.
Mm.
Um, and I'm just finding that more and more books are getting really creative with the approach to how they tell the story. And I kind of think it's happening out of necessity, almost like the human mind. And maybe it's not something people are doing intentionally, but they're just saying, let me get even more creative. Let me do the things that only a human mind can do.
Mm.
Because I just think some of the things I've read recently, I don't think I don't think a computer could have conjured that up. There are things I've read that yeah, I do think that AI could have come up with. But those are a few of the books that I just thought like, man, oh man. Yeah.
Love it.
So,
Good Rex,
yeah,
man.
man.
Always coming through
Good
with the good
stuff.
Rex.
Coming through with the good Rex. Yeah, The Heart's Invisible Furies. You like actually you need to read that before next week if you've never read it.
Feels like an assignment.
It's an assignment, yeah, because
Yeah.
I missed the characters when the book ended.
Oh, it's good.
I wanted them not to leave me, and I have strongly considered just starting the book over.
Yep. Those are the best.
Y'all, you ain't here for book club. You are here to hear a story. We gonna move this train forward with the thing that you have all been waiting for. Hot and ready for season 10 with the roundest of afros, looking better, bigger, and prouder than Foster Silvers himself, is a story from none other than Ashley McMullen.
Oh,
Give it up for yourself, Ashley. Clap, clap, clap.
clap,
Those are
clap.
snaps. She gave snaps, y'all. Um, Dr. McMullen from your sabbatical in the house of your friend with the wabi-sabi all around you and running through your veins. What is the
Mhm.
what?
Yes. Wow. The
That was
buildup,
a lot of
girl.
time, girl.
Man,
I
man, oh
did that.
man.
See, I incorporated all the things.
Yes, all of it.
What's the what?
The what is flexibility.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. And as I consider myself, fairly flexible and easy to kind of go with the flow, there are parts of myself that I recognize that really do like a plan, that like like preparation, particularly when it comes to my own performance and what reflects on me and how I like to present myself in the world. I like the view of myself as someone who's got their shit together, and I have a hard time letting go of that when things don't go the way that I anticipated or planned.
Okay.
And I'm learning this, in real life, in real time as I move throughout the world. But, this particularly applies to a trip that I took recently, which was to Portugal last year. I know several listeners who are close to me have heard parts of this story before, but you're going to hear it again. So sit back. But you have not heard this.
Y'all need to be flexible and hear
Exactly. Exactly. There's two parts of this. So I went to Portugal with one of my incredible friends, kind of on a whim. We wanted to do something big for her 40th birthday. And so we said, we should do something international. She's a running buddy. We're like, let's do a race in another country. So we picked Portugal and just kind of picked the date and rolled with it. I had never been to Portugal. I've hardly spent any time in Europe, to be honest. And so this was going to be a cool experience for both of us and the opportunity to run a race in a different part of the world. So we signed up for a half marathon in Porto. The website was mostly in Portuguese. It's, translated okay. Basically, we didn't think this was going to be like a big international race. It seemed fairly local, easy to get into, the price much cheaper in euros than any race I've ever signed up for here. So it was awesome. The race was in September, spent most of the summer training. Yeah, the week before we were set to leave, I felt great. And I remember being thrilled with all of my preparation and work towards this. Our flight left on a Tuesday. I woke up that Saturday before with one of the worst sinus infections
Oh, wow.
I had in years. And I knew exactly how I got it, which was an urgent care case that came through and I saw, and I should have worn it in 95 and I didn't. So it was really worrisome, and I was mostly mad at myself. I was just like, I should have anticipated this. I should have been more careful. And I was using every remedy known to humankind to try to get myself better. I did feel significantly better by Tuesday. I was able to get on the plane and get there okay, but I was not 100%. So we spent a couple days in Lisbon, which was great, but my sleep also wasn't spectacular. But again, I was like, I'm prepared. It'll be okay. We get to Porto, get our race packet, everything, like have a plan for how we're going to get to the start line the next morning. We're in a hotel that's a little ways away, but know how to navigate their version of Uber, and everything was going to be cool.
Oh my gosh.
So,
oh my gosh.
So the morning of the race, I actually slept quite well. And, I was feeling good. We actually stayed at a hotel that had free breakfast or had breakfast included. So I was able to get like all the carbs in that I wanted and everything was fine. We go to call our car with plenty of time to get to the start line. No cars are available. We kept refreshing the app or whatever, for whatever reason, like no cars were coming.
And how far away were you from the start?
About a 20-minute drive. Yeah. So we're just like, okay, game time decision, flexibility. There's a bus that will get us close enough to the start line. It gets here in like 5 minutes. Like, let's just pivot and head to the bus station. Granted, like the buses weren't always coming on time, but the bus comes. At every stop, there's more and more runners like in our race shirts, like trying to get to the race. So we realized this race is bigger than we anticipated. And probably that is why there's no cars available.
Oh my gosh.
So we got on the bus, got a seat. Within 3 stops, that bus was 100% packed. Like people standing in the aisles. We're watching the bus like go past stops where other runners were trying to get on and they can't because they can't fit.
Oh my gosh.
And we're just like, bet. Like, we're good. Like, we were going to cut it close, but it's just like, but we'll get there on time. We get to like a couple stops beyond where we're supposed to get off. And then we see people like exiting, like most people are exiting the bus. And in my mind, I was like, clearly they don't have the map, you're getting off at the wrong stop. I don't know what the issue is.
Oh my gosh.
But then there's someone who speaks English who comes up to us and just like, hey, y'all got to get off the bus. The bus is turning off route because it can't get to the start line. The roads are closed. So we're still about a mile from the start line. And the race starts in like, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes. So we just get out and we just have to start running to the start line. So we start jogging to start the half marathon. But we get there okay. It's packed, but it hasn't started yet. We're good.
And is there a lot of people?
There's a lot of people. And before every race, I always have to go to the bathroom.
Same.
So I was just like, okay, let me just try to like see what the porta potty situation is looking like. And it's like inside this park, there's a ton of people there. The lines are, of course, huge. And so I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to stress over this. I'm not going to be able to get into the bathroom before the race starts. So I'll just go along the route,
Okay.
So we start the race The race actually started later than what's typical for most races here. It started around 9 a.m. As opposed to super early in the morning. Thankfully, it's not sunny or super warm. It's actually overcast and a little drizzly, which is great. But my sinuses are triggered. And so my nose is running like profusely. And on top of that, I have to pee very bad. And so I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. We're good. Get past mile 3, 4, 5, 6. There's no porta potties along the route.
Oh my God.
And there's no way for me to like stop and like find tissue and blow my nose. So I'm just using my shirt. It's also like making it hard for me to breathe because my nose is now stopped up. And but it's just like I just have to roll with it. Around mile 9, I would say, is when I was just like feeling pretty fatigued. And I'm looking at my watch and I'm seeing the pace that I'm going. And I feel like I'm going like twice as fast, but my body is moving very slow. Like this is normally a very conversational pace for me and my friend. And I cannot speak words at this point. And it's getting hotter. And, I made a bet on a different brand of shoes, which I immediately regretted. It was just like everything was not quite going my way. At the same time, Porto, where we were running along this river was absolutely gorgeous. There was a lot of energy in the crowd. It was just like, so it's this juxtaposition of like the pain that's going on inside of me along with this beauty. And I'm having to kind of continuously choose this entire time, like not to fall into the despair of like, I did not prepare for this. Well,
Yes.
this is not,
this is not what I signed up for.
Yes. So it's just like, basically it's just like, I have to finish this race. I just have to keep going. And we did. We got through. I immediately went to the bathroom. There was still urine left.
You had to hold it for 13 miles?
Yes, I held it for 13 miles. And I know that, there's probably runners out there who are just like, why didn't you just go?
Really, the moms are thinking this would not have been an option. The pelvic floor would have been like, oh, we going.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Whether it was a mind or matter thing, I couldn't do it. But, I finished that race and it was definitely the hardest race I'd ever run. But it also invited a lot of need for just flexibility, particularly in my mindset. Yeah, in some ways I could have prepared for, but in other ways, like, you just got to let it be what it is.
Yep.
So the next part of this journey.
Oh my God.
What happened on my way home.
Oh no.
So
home to
back to the
San
States,
Francisco.
back to San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to leave a day early because I had an obligation for teaching that week. I ended up taking the train back to Lisbon because that's where I was flying out of, the day after the race. Spent the night there. And getting up, I was a little slower than I wanted to, but it was a lovely hotel and I was reluctant to leave. But I got to the airport in Lisbon, again, not quite as early as I wanted to, but within enough time. So I've caught a lot of flights in my life and, I'm usually pretty good about, timing myself very well for the airport. I'm not someone who's going to show up 2 hours before, but I'm not going to show up late. So I actually got through the security line pretty quickly. I didn't have any bags I was checking. So I was just like, I still have a few minutes before I have to go to the gate. I could see the airport lounges there. I was like, let me go up there, like get a real cup of coffee, like sit down for a minute and then I'll head to my gate.
Oh my gosh.
So,
no.
I went and did that. And then I was just like, okay, got a little bit of cushion. Let me just go ahead and casually walk to my gate. Start heading towards the gate area and I see there's a line that's splitting. So the gates that are like staying within Europe are on one side. There was another line for the international gates.
Oh my gosh.
And the line for the international gates was absurd because they were doing passport screening.
Oh,
And I had completely like missed the fact that in the first security line, they didn't screen my passport. Like it registered, but I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, you know, maybe they do it at the gate or whatever. No, there's a separate passport screening line,
no.
and it is bad.
Okay.
And so, you know, I had a little momentary kind of like freak out, but I'm also just like, I am not someone who misses flights. You know, I've got a good 30 minutes probably before, you know, I have to get there. I was just like, you know, things will move. I'm not going to freak out. So I got in the line and other people are freaking out because they clearly have made the same misread that I did.
Yeah.
And so folks are like cutting in line, folks are getting upset, like, you know, it's getting a little chaotic. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to say a little prayer. I'm going to get there. But the clock is ticking. And, you know, I make it to the front of the line. And it's just like this very cursory, like glance at my passport. I was just like, you know, it felt very unnecessary
Okay. Okay.
for the amount of time and chaos that was happening. But, you know, it's like, whatever. My flight was leaving at 9:30 a.m. And in my mind, I was like, if I get there at least by 9, I'll be okay. And it was just like, it was like 8:55 or 8:58. I don't know, somewhere it was cutting it
Oh my
close.
God, you are giving me a heart attack. Oh my gosh.
But I was just like, you know, the gate's right there. Like, I'm going to be okay. I got a notification on my phone that the gate number had changed. And my gate went from being like kind of close to the passport line entrance to the very end
Oh my
of
God.
the terminal.
Oh my God.
But again, in my mind, I was just like, I do not miss flights. Like, there's no way I'm missing this flight. So I start, you know, picking up speed a little bit. You know, I got my carry-on, I'm going. And then I'm also just like, the gate agents know the shit is like crazy back there. They're going to give some grace. And as I'm running, I just happen to glance up at the screen and see the list of departures. And, and the gate that I am going to is in red letters and it says closed. I got to the gate and in fact, the door was closed. I think in all of my 38 years of life, this is the closest I have come to a public meltdown. Like there is no, I mean, there are many terrible feelings, but I think one that probably is among the top 10 is getting to a gate for your international flight and watching that plane start to back up without you. And, you know, the gate agents are just like, you know, exactly. They could care less about my teaching obligations and the fact that that passport line was longer and I didn't know and blah, blah, blah.
You out here trying to have you an espresso or a doppio.
I know. I know. So, and I promise I'm gonna land this plane soon.
No,
but,
I'm enjoying the plane.
you
I have
know,
palpitations, but I'm tracking.
you know, it was all the emotions because just like, you know, yeah, there were stuff that I was beyond my control, but there was stuff that was in my control. I actively made a decision to go to that lounge. And had I not, I would have made that flight. One of the things, again, that I have learned about myself when stuff doesn't go according to plan, I internalize stuff. You know, I'm glad I'm not a person who lashes out, but I can be very harsh towards myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling a lot of shame and embarrassment and frustration because for that particular airlines, that was the only flight to San Francisco that day.
Oh God.
But similar to the race, it's just like I have to figure it out. Like I have to go home and I can't, you know, I can't fall apart. I can't fall apart. I knew that I was not the only person who missed that flight. I knew that there was going to be a bunch of people going to this airline's customer service, which, mind you, was out past the pass. I would have to go back out of that passport line again and come back in.
Oh God.
And so I was just like, no. I opened my phone and I have the United app. I have an account and status with them. And so I was just like, I'm going to book another flight. I'm going to take the L This is what I have an emergency fund for. United had two flights going out that had connections on the East Coast, and I chose one that was going through DC. It was going to put me back in San Francisco around 8, and I went for it.
Wow.
Then I went into the United Lounge and I made myself a mimosa, and I had to let it go.
Wow.
I
Wow.
had to let myself feel what I felt, but I had to make sure that I didn't stay there.
And the L you took, so that you just lost that money?
I lost the money. Mm-hmm. And my pride.
Oh, I don't know why.
But
See, that's my problem. My problem is I always expect that I'm gonna win. So I've
exactly.
just been waiting for you to be like, and then they opened the gate.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going with this, which is like,
Okay.
this is right now, like in retrospect, it's a fun story. At the time, of course, it was devastating. And not particularly like, I mean, yes, it was the money, it was the timing, it was, the bad decision, but it was like my image of myself as someone who gets things right,
Mm,
someone who's prepared. And like, I'm okay with stuff beyond my control. Like I can let stuff flow. But when I feel like I failed at something, then it can really put me in a dark place.
mm,
And, part of that journey, I think, really flows into many of the lessons that I've been learning on the sabbatical. And there have already been many that I look forward to sharing. But it's just like sometimes you got to let failure be a part of the story.
that part. That part.
Even on that flight home, I had to it was a lot of tender moments of talking harshly to myself and then walking it back. And then trying to access exactly what we talked about last week, which is just like, that was hard. And I am also in a financial position to be able to book a flight the same day
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and ride comfortably back to the United States.
Dial it back even before that and say, I'm in Portugal because for leisure,
Exactly.
I ran a half marathon, which means for leisure, I have the time to even train for a half marathon.
Yes. And I got to
Mhm.
have that experience with one of my
To the full.
closest friends in the middle of a work week.
Yes.
And when I got back that night, I mean, you already know this, but the friend that I went with was Emma Shack,
Hmm. Hmm.
Emory alum, and one of my, dearest friends that I work with here at the VA, because her home is close to the airport. I parked my car there. And when I got back that night and I was texting her husband, Josh, to, grab my keys so I could go home, I got there and I realized that he had cleaned my entire car, like detailed it inside, outside, buffed out a scratch that I'd had on my bumper for like the better part of a year.
Wow.
And it was just like and he didn't even know what I had been through that day with the airport fiasco. But it was also just like these acts of kindness,
Yep.
like Kat offering me this house just because she wanted to support me. And it's just like, yeah, stuff happens. You make mistakes, things fail, you don't get it right. But it's just like there's still so much kindness and grace in the world, and particularly for my life, and that's something that I'm leaning into more in 2026.
Mm, I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? There is always room for gratitude. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm realizing. I mean, don't get me wrong. The things that trouble you, it's okay to acknowledge them. I don't want to ever like be so Pollyanna that you can't even like pause to be like, well, that wasn't cool or that was a
Mm-hmm.
bummer or
Yes,
whatever.
yes,
But
yes.
I do think part of the reason why this habit of reflection is so important is that it will almost always lead you to gratitude. It will almost always lead you to gratitude because you can just keep dialing it back, backing it up, and finding more times to be grateful, right? Because like to be able to even run for leisure
Mhm.
is in itself a luxury. You know, if you got the kind of job where you get off in time and you live in a neighborhood that's safe enough, and you have sneakers that you can use just for running, and you can, you know, hydrate and do all the nutritional things and read books about wabi sabi and all these things, that's something to be grateful for. And to even be able to execute a plan with a friend to go and run an international race, not pat the idea on top of the head, but actually do it, that in itself is a luxury. And even to know how. Because I mean,
Mhm.
the thing is, there are a lot of people who would have missed that flight and wouldn't have known what to do. I was listening to your story and you said, I went back to Lisbon and I spent the night in a hotel, was nice. In my head, I was thinking to myself, I don't even like, how did she find that hotel? And how did she, because this sounds kind of like something that y'all sort of just planned on a whim.
Mhm.
And there are people who do take trips like that, but they are planning 2 and 3 years in advance to do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just a lot of things for which to be grateful. And
Mhm.
even if it's not working out the way you want it to work out.
Exactly.
And almost always, when things like that happen, there is one thing that will happen that you'll realize that if it had worked out how you wanted it to work out, this particular aspect would not have happened, or I wouldn't have run into this person, or I wouldn't have seen this thing, or I wouldn't have, done this thing.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I like that.
Yes.
So I don't pride myself in being as organized as you. So I have not missed many flights, but I have missed a flight before, and it was all my fault. And I- more than anything, I was just annoyed. Like, damn. So yeah, I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say you fell asleep in the lounge or something. I was like, oh my God, then what?
No, I was watching the time. I thought that I had it planned out, and I didn't.
How early in advance did you guys plan this trip?
Couple months.
Wow. So not
Meaning
that.
we booked the we no, meaning we signed up for the race, and then like a couple months after that we booked the flights, and then maybe like a week before we like wrote down some stuff we might do.
Dang. I like that. I'm
Yeah.
here for I'm here for a little flying by the seat of one's pants a bit. So, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, I am glad that you lived to tell. I am
Hmm.
glad that you had an emergency fund. And I'm glad that Josh chose to clean out your electric car.
It was really sweet. Yes.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
Dr. Shack, if you would like to clean out another car of one of your former attendings at Grady Hospital, you can just come right on over here to Atlanta, Georgia.
I was about to say it was like a professional job. Like I would have paid someone to do what he did.
Well, you know that Josh has a MD and a PhD. Maybe he got a PhD in detail.
Yes. Yes.
Well, sis, I am very, very happy that you were able to pivot. I will now be pivoting back across the street to Grady,
Hmm.
but not before reminding our listeners that this May, the Human Doctor podcast will again be live from the Society of General Internal Medicine National Meeting. This is going to
Hmm.
be our third year in a row.
Yes.
And what I want to make sure that those listening who do go to that meeting recognize they need to do is register for the meeting, because you got to be registered to go to that meeting, and you
Hmm.
got to be a member to go to that meeting. So go and pay your dues, go and get registered,
Hmm. Yep. And also think about those flights.
and get to the airport on time.
Yeah.
If you're coming in internationally, check what you need to get through.
Yes, please. Please do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, you and Mahalia, you have the most spectacular day.
Hmm.
And oh yeah, since your afro is giving me Tabitha Brown energy.
Hmm.
And if you can't, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's. You hear?
Yes. Yes. Auntie Tab.
Because that's your business.
That's your business.
All right, sis. Love you.
All right. Love you too.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!